So, Smile is probably one of the most disturbing horror films, or even disturbing films I've seen this year. Originally, the recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out on Netflix, or maybe even Titan, held that title. And I have not felt this much anxiety watching a film in a theater in quite some time. And I gotta be honest, I did not miss that feeling. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to For the Agenda. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Huang. And on this channel, I essentially watch mainstream content and let you know if it's worth your time because your time, honestly, is so valuable and no one should tell you otherwise. Today, I'm going to be talking about the new horror film coming to theaters called Smile, which is directed and written by Parker Finn. So, this movie is about a doctor named Rose Cotter. Who's overworked at this hospital, and one day she witnesses a bizarre and traumatic incident involving a patient, and she starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she just can't explain. And through that, Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. Now, I gotta place a trigger warning. This film involves instances of suicide, not just as part of the plot, but throughout the film. There are instances where that is mentioned, repeated. It's essentially a very big part of the story. If you can't see that kind of imagery, I would not suggest you watch this film because it is in your face about it. That imagery is front and center. And content warning, if you don't like to see an animal harmed in a film, this is also not for you. Fair warning. It doesn't happen a lot. It happens once. But sometimes with animal lovers, once is enough. So, again, fair warning. We are in spooky season, people. So, of course, horror films are going to start coming out a lot more often than we think. And this one is essentially a curse movie, kind of like Blumhouse's Truth or Dare, which when I saw the trailer, it felt like it was going to be like that film. But then I saw it was rated R and I realized it was going to be much more intense. I was right. So think more The Ring, Final Destination, or even The Grudge, but amped up and a little more gruesome. The first thought I had actually when I was watching the opening scene of this film, I actually commented this to one of the people who helped me get through this film was, wait, isn't this kind of like It Follows? It all just ended up clicking what was going to end up happening. The film itself has a lot of elements from other horror films where you can see that they helped inspire the film, but it won't feel like a completely original concept. Even one shot seemed like it was from Hereditary, and I'm here like, I may not like Hereditary, but I can tell that there are a lot of references here. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a pretty good thing. But it does take away from the originality of the film. That being said, this movie is fucking terrifying. Like the first kill alone in that opening scene that leads into the title card was so hard for me to sit through that I didn't know how I was going to get through the rest of the movie because I'm not a huge fan of films that are disturbing in the terms of using shock value. Like, when someone's neck basically swings like a slinky or even a yo yo to meet someone's face in a car. If you've seen the trailer, you know what I'm referring to. But see, stuff like that, when it's a rated R horror film, not exactly for me. What I find hilarious is people are trying to champion me on going, you've seen Scream. This is going to be nothing. Scream is PG next to this film. I don't know why people think Scream is like the most gruesome thing when they keep telling me, you're going to be fine. You survived Scream. This is nothing like Scream. Okay. I don't know why people are making this comparison. Scream is PG essentially after that. Now, also, the film itself is just loaded with jump scares. Like, this film will not let you take a minute to compose yourself, which for some horror fans is probably going to be a delight. But for me, it caused me honestly quite a bit of anxiety when I watch a horror film. Of course, you like to be scared. That's part of the fun, that's part of the experience. But to cause me that form of anxiety that I experienced was not great. I didn't feel great watching the movie. When I don't feel great watching a movie, I'm not enjoying it. If anything, I'm gonna want to leave. So for me, This film is basically going to be divided into can you handle this film or can you not? And when you're not covering your eyes, because a lot of people will definitely be covering their eyes in this film, it's quite intense. You will be impressed by some of the camera shots. Like the way they shot some of the scenes here was very professional. And when you add that eerie score, it just made you feel like you were trapped on this ride until the very end of it. At one time, I had to check how much the budget was after this film ended because some of these shots looked expensive. They made the city of New Jersey look good. Like that was kind of impressive. It's kind of a perfect horror setting. The sound design was also quite impressive. The way it was used in each scene to create tension was also very well done. And even the transitional sounds were great at setting up effective jump scares. You were afraid to hear something before you saw something, and sometimes both at the same time. And that's very impressive for a horror film. Whoever did the sound design on this film, A plus. Like you did your job, you rewrote the assignment, you not only completed it, you just rewrote it. And congratulations on that part. You caused a lot of people in my theater to be scared as hell. Now, the film does make you question what's real and what's messing with you psychologically. There are instances of, for example, gaslighting between the characters, but also moments when you're trying to figure out, again, what's real and what isn't. But because it goes so far with their depiction of mental illness and psychological issues and traumas, it just feels at times overwhelming because this has a 2 hour runtime. And after a while, you may feel like, okay, I'm ready to get off this ride. I'm kind of tired. This keeps going on and on. And there were times when I definitely felt that way. Again, that anxiety that I felt did not help because there were times when I was ready to tap out. And the film is clear in stating that it wants you to feel that way. It wants to terrify you. The film, of course, because of this, will not be for everyone. And it sometimes felt too unsettling. In this case, the film focuses on, again, trauma and mental illness and how that can spread like a virus. And when the film was focusing on exploring the unhealed trauma and the parasitic nature on our psyche, that's when I thought the film was much more interesting. But then it ends up shifting to either a really messed up kill scene or a really messed up jump scare. And it just takes away from the experience and it takes you from fascinated to terrified. And it didn't really have that balance. It asks the audience to analyze how mental illness can be infectious like a virus, but does so by traumatizing the audience, and the fact that there are so many of them take away from the impact that the message could have had. Now, the acting here is essentially good. I thought Sosie Bacon shines as the lead and plays her role quite well. Everyone here does their job really well. The acting here works, especially when they had to deliver that unsettling smile. You bought it, so it works in that sense. Although some of the line delivery was a bit rough to experience, which I will place some blame on the script. I won't blame the actors for it. Which, speaking of, the script is not perfect. The dialogue at times made the characters feel wooden. It has some plot holes and flaws in the logic when it came to the curse itself, because I tried to come up with different counter arguments for the film's curse. And the film never really addresses certain things. Because of that, there are these loopholes or even plot holes that could have been explored that either could have saved the character, or in some cases, had it been tightened up, made it a little bit more scary. Where this script shined was when the film's villain, that being, of course, the curse, when it spoke some of its lines, it was really well written and very convincing to the point where everyone was scared. Sometimes a villain, when they have to deliver some lines, sometimes you don't always buy it. Here, you bought every line that the villain spoke. So that one, of course, was very well done. And that wasn't just due to the voice acting performance of who was playing the curse, but how their lines were written for them. So to kind of wrap this review up, in the end, Smile is not for the faint of heart. It takes the cake, though, for being the most disturbing film I've seen this year. It was a very unpleasant experience for me to sit through. So I am essentially just not the intended audience for this film. Again, the people who sat with me and got me through this film are the real MVPs because I honestly almost tapped out a couple of times, and I don't like to walk out of a movie. They got me through it. So for them, I am grateful. They were literally like, all right, you're not going to like the kind of scene that's going to take place right now based on where it's going. So you're going to want to cover your eyes, and I'll let you know when it's over. See, that's the kind of thing that I appreciate. Because I would almost say that this film was my malignant for this year in the sense that I was traumatized by a film that a bunch of people are really going to enjoy, especially if they love horror films, like disturbing horror films. They're probably going to enjoy this. And the film itself, yes, it's flawed, but it is effective in its delivery. If you really like these kind of films and can handle them, again, the ones that disturb and have quite a bit of shock value, then I would actually tell you you should see this in a theater. My crowd definitely seemed like they were enjoying the ride. And if you're unsure about this film, I would say watch the trailer. And if it looks like the trailer is just too disturbing for you, it just may not be the film for you because if you don't like the trailer or what it's going to present, the film doubles down on what's being shown. It's all up to your taste when it comes to horror films. So that is my review of Smile. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, you can hit the like button and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. And you can follow me on Twitter and on Letterboxd at Leading Mohicans. And remember, regardless of what others feel about the things you love, it's always for the agenda. Bye.